But let's talk about D2. Let's talk about D2. All right. So we want to cover D2 football. I went to Valdosta State University. So D2 football is important to me. And if I got to be the D2 guy that's doing this in the media, as far as YouTube, League Pass, whatnot, I'll be that person because I think that D2 football is really on par with a lot of D1 HBCUs. And, Fort Valley beat Kentucky State 9-7. I'm going to gloss over the comment I just said when I talk about my school because what the world? I love Kentucky State. Kentucky State went against Fort Valley in the 2016 SIAC championship in which Fort Valley won in a great contest. So Kentucky State has been to the SIAC championship. They've slipped off in recent years. They had a legendary coach that coached them to the 2016 SIAC championship. And ironically, that year, Tuskegee was struggling and Miles College was struggling. So maybe Kentucky State might make it out the West. It could be maybe Lane or Kentucky State. We'll see when, we see more interconference play between Miles and also Kentucky State as well as Tuskegee. But it was a defensive game that it shouldn't have been. Like the running clinic that Coach Sean Gibbs and Fort Valley put on against Tuskegee, I did not see it versus Kentucky State. And that's a problem to me. As a Fort Valley alum and someone that's really rooting for Fort Valley, what I saw against Tuskegee was encouraging. We could have lost this game. We honestly could have. I think that Coach Gibbs did good time management towards the end, but we legitimately could have lost this game. Just like how last year we almost lost against Lane College. Now, I'm not going to disrespect Lane College because Lane College is playing great football. And I honestly think we got to watch them because I think that Miles College is going to struggle. I think that Tuskegee is going to struggle as they get acclimated, but we'll see what happens. But Lane College, they lost to Benedict this week, but Lane could come out of the West. So I'm not disrespecting Lane College, nor am I disrespecting Kentucky State, because they could be the ones to be in the SIAC championship versus probably Albany. Let's be real. I'll talk about that in a second. But I just didn't like it, Ariel. I really didn't. The run game is Coach Gibbs' strong point. And they were running, but I don't think they really converted in the end zone. And you have to keep folks away from your end zone and also prevent them from making field goals. I mean, you could say they did that, but Kentucky State got really close, and Fort Valley should dominate. And that's my thing as a Fort Valley alum that is invested in this football program. I love what Sean Gibbs is doing, Coach Gibbs is doing. I love, just in general what Fort Valley is turning into because I see a lot of promise and potential. But if we want to win against Albany State, if we want to win against Bethune, if we want to win against, I messed up. If we want to win against Benedict College during homecoming, which is going to be on October the 1st, that's in a couple of weeks, and Benedict is contending. If we want to win against Albany State, especially in the Fountain City Classic, and that might be the determinant for the SIAC championship, we got to do better. And that's just the thing for me. As a Fort Valley alum, I want excellence. And you won, but how you win matters. I'll told you this earlier when we talk about in NFL. To me, it matters how you win. And how Fort Valley won was unacceptable to me, just honestly. Y'all got to do better, and the pass game needs to be better. I know Coach Gibbs is a running coach at A&T. He got Tyreek Cohen and coached him up. He's coached up some great running backs. But it needs to be a passing game that I need to see. Because I need them to respect the run, but know our quarterback can throw, and know that we have receivers that can make it happen. Because Shamar Bridges last year was the guy, but I want to see a little bit more. So I said a lot. I said a mouthful. I always tend to, but I wasn't a fan. And there's not too much more I can say after that. But Ariel, I do have a lot to say about Albany versus FAMU, right? So I hate how Albany was being disrespected coming into this matchup. And listen, I went to Fort Valley State University. Albany State is our rival. We play the Fountain City Classic against them. We've lost every year since 2016. Of course, 2020 was the COVID year, so we didn't play. We won in 2016. We've lost from 2017 to 2021. And our Albany is playing. We might lose again. We'll see what Coach Gibbs does. But Albany is a good football program, period. And I said this. I told you in private, Ariel, that FAMU was going to have a test against Albany. And I said it on the podcast that Albany was going to be a big test for FAMU. They're the SIAC champions. They made the D2 playoffs. You have Coach Gabe Gardena is coaching them boys up. They have some big boys on offense. They have a great dual threat quarterback. They have a defense that really does a lot of great stuff. The defense was locking down the SIAC last year. And Albany is straight up a good program in the D2, in the SAC, and we'll talk about that more when we talk about Valdosta. But Albany got the first touchdown. They got like 2 interceptions on Musa, who we all were going crazy over when he played UNC. They were up 7-0. Honestly, I think FAMU fans were like, oh my gosh, we're going to lose again. But FAMU was able to stabilize because they're a D1 program. So I understand the expectation that a D1 program should do great because you have more scholarships, more development. You have transfers, maybe Power 5 schools. You have Isaiah Land. That was FCS Defensive Player of the Year. He was playing on Saturday. So you have all these different moments, right? So you have all this different stuff that's going on. But my thing is that I don't want to go against FAMU and say, FAMU did a bad job, or, oh, they didn't play well enough, or, oh, they're playing against a D2. They were supposed to win. HBCU programs are pretty close. Did South Carolina State not show us that versus Jackson State? Is Jackson State maybe above the pack this year? Maybe. Is maybe Tennessee State above the pack? Maybe. Is Grambling maybe above the pack? Maybe. But typically, it's not a big jump between a D2 HBCU and a D1 HBCU. And if you know football and you know what's going on, you know that. Honestly, like Albany State is a side champion. Look at their score. They beat Fort Valley like what 57-0. Come on, man! Like they beat Savannah State. I think Savannah State didn't score. I think they scored a field goal. I got to look back at that, but they were locking folks down. So you're telling me that they can't go up to FAMU and hold them in 23 points? They did. They can't get interceptions. They can't force fumbles. They did. I really just think that we have to stop underrating D2 schools. And I'm going to go more in depth on that. But it was a great game by Albany. And I'm not looking at FAMU crazy. Because the thing about it is that I understand there's an expectation to win, especially after last year and also 2019. Because Ariel, listen, and I don't want to digress into it that much. A&T did make the Celebration Bowl, but FAMU had some violations, and they did beat A&T in 2019. So the FAMU could have made the Celebration Bowl. And they could have went up against Alcorn and very well could have won. But A&T, they won. We're not saying they shouldn't have won. But I know FAMU has expectation. But overall, to me, Albany State showed improved. But I want to talk about, for me, I didn't say, Ariel, this was my game of the week because I told you that you don't put Valdosta on your schedule. And I thought that Virginia Union was going to lose. Ariel, they won. They won 45-40. Virginia Union beat Valdosta. And you have no idea how excited I am about it, how lit I am about it. And the part that's so upsetting is that I don't think other folks that aren't really tapped into D2 HBCUs are excited. So first and foremost, let me give you this equivalency. And this is not a shot, Ariel, but imagine if North Carolina A&T beat North Dakota State and beat them 45-40. The Aggies would be on Twitter talking they talk. You won't be able to say nothing. Well, y'all lost North Carolina Central and we beat the FCS champions. That's the same equivalency that we can make for D2 because Valdosta State is a 4-time national champion. They just made the D2 national championship on last year. And I told you this on last week. I said that Valdosta State always beats HBCUs. And I didn't want to speak erroneously. I wanted to actually do the research, Ariel. So I did the research. So really quickly, I want to just talk about their history against HBCUs since 2011. So their record against HBCUs is 20 wins, 2 losses, and 4 games that were canceled. It was one Fort Valley contest that was canceled in 2017 because of a tornado warning. And then, of course, in 2020, the season was canceled for Valdosta. So they did not play Albany State, they did not play Savannah State, and they did not play Kentucky State. But they're 20-2. And the only other HBCU to beat them is, guess who? Albany State. Because Albany State, I don't care. I went to Fort Valley. I don't care. They're our rivals. I got to be, I guess, the champion for Albany State. Because Albany State is good. They beat Valdosta, who at points, Valdosta has been better than FAMU. You can say, well, they're D1. Oh, my God. They've been better than FAMU. Like, we've seen Valdosta beat number 6 ranked Albany State in 2011. They've beaten Fort Valley consistently. They beat Edward Waters consistently. They've beaten Winston-Salem consistently. And in 2014, Winston-Salem was ranked number 12 in D2. They've beaten Savannah State. They beat Virginia Union last year. So Valdosta is a dominant program. Like, to me, they are the equivalent of what North Dakota State is to FCS. That's what Valdosta is to D2. 4-time champions. They're always in the mix in the playoffs. They make it happen, and they beat our best programs. Albany is one of our best football programs. They beat them. Bowie, they've beaten them consistently, and they beat them just last year in the playoffs. So Valdosta State is nothing to be played with. So why did they win, Ariel? And I'm still watching the game. Like I said, I can't watch too many games at one time, but I was watching the game before we started recording. And why did they win? They won because Valdosta State has a weakness. Everybody has a weakness. Everybody has their kryptonite. And one thing, Ariel, for me is I'm really good at diagnosing that. When it comes to sports, I'm good at that. I want to tell a quick story, Ariel. So my dad is, he's very prideful. Black men are prideful. So we had a summer camp my mom started called Leap Camp. And we had, teenagers that were in that camp. So you had my dad, we had like a field trip. He was back on the bus. And he was talking to the guys. They were saying, we could beat you in basketball. And my dad was like, no, you can't. I'm just going to back you down. We got Shaq. Woo, woo. So essentially, one of the campers challenged my dad to a game. So we got him and we took him to the basketball court, and I was there. So my dad was doing what he normally does, which is he'll back you down, he'll post you up like Shaq, he'll shoot layups. But the boy was good. He was a good shooter. So I told my dad this. I said, Dad, he is a good shooter, but he can't shoot off his left side. If you play him to his right, it's going to force him to go left. He's not going to be able to do anything because he can't dribble to his left side. He can't shoot to his left side. My dad won. He didn't score another point. I'm a coach, Ariel. I'm a coach out here. So I'm going to start being a football coach, all right? And I'm going to tell you how to beat Valdosta State. And Miles College plays them next. Here's how you beat them. You beat Valdosta State by running the ball on them. They're Superman. That's their kryptonite. They cannot stop the run. Virginia Union had 401 rushing yards. Jada Byers, who's the running back, he had 319 yards, 3 touchdowns. And this is reminiscent of what happened in the D2 National Championship against Ferris State, REO, because in the D2 National Championship, Ferris State was running the ball on them. Ferris State had 459 rushing yards, and their quarterback was running like he was Josh Allen. So Valdosta State can't stop the run. I think they're a good defense in man and zone, and they can defend well against the pass. And that's what I think a lot of HBCUs try to go to. They go to an air raid style, and they try to pass the ball and not establish the run. Valdosta State is really great at stopping that because Virginia Union didn't do well as far as the passing game. But the running game, they were running them down, and Valdosta just could not stop them. 3 touchdowns, and they had some field goals, and they were up going into the 12-minute mark of the fourth quarter. Virginia Union was up 45-27. Valdosta had to come back. Virginia Union gave everyone in D2 and HBCUs that they play in the future until they shore that up, they shore that line up, until they figure out how to stop the run. They gave them a playbook of how to win. And lastly, I want to say this really quickly, Ariel, is that Virginia Union wasn't scared. And I think with HBCUs they often get into a mode where they get scared of playing PWIs and, these bigger HBCUs and also even these bigger white schools, right? Because I think the D2 schools like, oh, it's a D1 school, we can't win. When you just have the will to, you can win. But especially against white schools, I think all HBCUs at points tend to falter to white programs. Do I think it's a skill gap? Yeah. Do I think it's offensive line and trench play? Yeah. But sometimes with Jackson State, with our great schools, I think sometimes it's the mental. I think with North Carolina A&T, they're more skilled, but can we really go out there and score on them? Yeah, for these other programs, these schools are good, but can we do well against them? And I think Virginia Union wasn't scared. They beat them last year. What you got to lose? Valdosta State beat Virginia Union. Beat them down. They beat Virginia Union last year. They beat them 51-7. So what do we have to lose? Let's go out there and win. This doesn't count in conference play, but this win very well could get Virginia Union in the playoffs. We know Bowie's going to be there, but if Virginia Union does well in their season, even if they don't win the championship, they might get a bid just because of this win. So I think in general, this was the upset of the week, and I need y'all to put some respect on Division II football. Because the Division II football, they got some boys down there too. Because they don't just like these Power 5 transfers and these FCS transfers, they don't just transfer interconference or an FBS or FCS. They come down to D2 as well. So I think just in general, what Virginia Union showed y'all is 2 things: how to beat Valdosta State, and also the fact that there's talent in D2. Like the Albany State and Virginia Union showed y'all that. That's all I got to say about Aria.